So this is Big A, the Man Geek, and this is kind of like my first proper like comic review. Um, so so yeah, this is the kind of thing I want to do more of. Do kind of more reviews of trade paperbacks and comics. Some will be done in this style that you're about to see. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and share around and whatnot. So yeah, just enjoy this underrated review of Mosaic. Mosaic is a 2016 comic by Marvel about a brand new Inhuman. The comic came out around the same time that Marvel were doing Civil War, so it was kind of drowned out by the noise, unfortunately. The basic premise is that you have Morris Sackett, who's a basketball player, a very good basketball player, naturally gifted. Unfortunately though, Morris, being the big celebrity that he is, means that everything's gone to his head, and he's a massive d-bag. He even says that to, he even expresses that to his teammates, and he legit doesn't care. He's living a celebrity lifestyle. He's the big I am. He doesn't care about anyone else. He's actually not that much nice of a person. Anyway, what happens to Morris is that there's a Terrigen mist cloud which engulfs him, and he becomes an Inhuman. And the whole story is about him learning how to use his powers and discovering that the life that he knew and thought to be true isn't as true as he thought it once was. It actually turns out that things are actually quite different. There were things going on behind the scenes that I had no clue about. And that's pretty much the story, really. It's a story about redemption, and it's a story about struggle and discovering a horrible truth, which I think personally is a pretty good premise to start off with, and a very interesting one for a brand new Marvel character. Morris's powers are actually quite interesting. So he can jump from body to body. He kind of like has an astral projected form that he can fly around with and go from body to body. When he's in someone's body, he can acquire their memories and skills, and he can use that person's body to kind of his own means. We do see some interesting things with that and as to how it works. It is kind of a two-way street when he's very fresh to his powers, whereas we do see later on how he's able to kind of get a better holding and understanding of those same powers. Morris Sackett as a character, to begin with, isn't a very likable person. Like I said earlier, he's a massive celebrity and it's all gone to his head. And so when you do read the first issue, you actually don't feel bad for him at all once the Terrigen mist cloud kind of engulfs him and he's cocooned. Like you don't really feel anything for him, because he doesn't appear to be the kind of person who can be a hero, because to him he's already hot stuff. So literally there's nothing to like about the guy to begin with. It's only later on throughout his journey that you begin to like him more, because you kind of actually do begin to feel a bit bad for him. So Morris as a character has an interesting starting point and an interesting end point as well, and it's the journey in between which is actually really interesting. I don't want to say too much about it, because I actually want people to read this book and be surprised about kind of the things that happen throughout. Another character within the story is Morris's father, Mason Sackett, who's pretty much managed his son's entire career in basketball. And Morris looks up to Mason a lot. His dad has done everything for him, made sure he's got into the position where he's gotten into. So being a massive celeb and being probably one of the best basketball players there is. And you can tell he really looks up to his dad. So what he finds out later on within the book, he actually kind of destroys his worldview a little bit. But there isn't much to be said about Mason Sackett, other than he does appear to have kind of like a good handle on kind of media relations and whatnot, things like that. So yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, again, you'll find out more stuff later about the character, if I was to mention what that stuff was now, it would spoil the book. But yeah, your main characters are really Morris himself. Mason's in there a little bit. There's a really interesting part with Spider-Man as well, where we get to see inside Peter Parker's mind, but we get to see kind of like the defense mechanisms within his mind to stop him being mind controlled in a way, and Mosaic not having access to certain parts of Peter's memories. There isn't really a villain as such, more so there's a villainous organization, and we only get to see a little bit of them. We don't get to see a lot. We know that they kind of want to weaponize Inhumans and Inhuman abilities, and that's more or less you need to know about them. That's kind of enough. This story, like I said, mainly focuses on Morris being able to, well, use and adapt to using his powers. So there's not a lot said about them. This is only the first volume. I believe there might be more in the second, but I thought it was a good enough introduction. It wasn't really an individual antagonist as such. There was a little bit of one, but again, we don't get to learn that much about the antagonist who works for the organization, whose name has escaped me and I can't bother looking it up. But yeah, he's what you'd expect. It's the kind of character you've seen before, and it's nothing new. There's not a lot of new stuff in here. It's just that the story itself is pretty interesting because things aren't the way you assume that they are. Like there's always like a hidden layer underneath. But yeah, overall the characters are so-so. There's some side characters in here as well, which appear because obviously Morris possesses people throughout, and we get to see, you know, bits of the lives of different people who are in New York and kind of going about their business. And Morris jumping from body to body, kind of learning how to use his abilities. Everyone else kind of has semi-important parts to play, but they're not the focus. Morris is. Now, the book was written by Geoffrey Thorne. I'm not familiar with any of his kind of previous works. I think he's written some Star Trek novels in the past, but I was pretty impressed with the job that he did. Like, there's been a lot of diverse characters that Marvel have come out with in recent years that have just been like replacements for other characters. Some have worked, some hasn't, but this is like 100% fresh and brand new. I think it was a big mistake for this book to be released during Civil War II event. I also think that this should have had a lot more of a marketing push, and it didn't, because like I said, the whole thing is actually done really well. It's not, I didn't really find any of it cheesy. I didn't find there was any kind of SJW identity politics in there. It was just a story about a guy in an incredible situation that he didn't expect to see himself in, and him adapting to that situation. That's literally it. There was barely any cringy dialogue, I don't think. I mean, there's even a part in here where Morris possesses someone who's known as, I think he's called like Cap to his work colleagues, because he met Captain America during like a Skrull invasion and was inspired to join the army and whatnot. And so yeah, Captain America inspired someone to kind of essentially in a way be a hero and join the army, and so everyone calls the guy Cap. So yeah, I mean, so the whole point of this book is just a story, and it's just a well-written story. It's just telling its story. It's not trying to push an agenda or make you think a certain thing or tell you that you're wrong for XYZ reason. It's just a book about a guy, and something weird happens and he has to adapt. That's literally all it's about. Characterization, I mean, it's kind of thin. We get to see a lot of Morris, that's who we spend most of our time with, but there are certain things revealed about other characters that kind of change the way that we as the reader view them as well. And I think all those things are well done. The story as a whole, I liked, because there's certain things I assumed it was going in a certain direction, and then there's things about the past that are revealed that kind of change the story and actually want you to know more. The only time when I thought the story was a bit weak was towards the end. I thought a bit of that was rushed. I think it needed like a few more pages just to breathe. But overall, I really like the writing. The art by Kari Randolph and Tony Silas were really good. Kari did issues kind of 1 and 2, and then 3 to 5 were done by Tony Silas. And yeah, I really liked the exaggerated kind of anime-ish inspired style. I thought it worked pretty well. Movements and things like that were highly exaggerated. I preferred Kari's stuff on the first 2 issues rather than Tony's stuff, but overall I thought it matched pretty well and kind of was a good substitute for Kari. I mean, do I have any negatives about the art? Not particularly, but like I said, I think Kari's stuff is just much more stronger. That's just for me personally. I mean, they have quite similar styles, but you can kind of tell when they change up. But yeah, like I said, it's similar. It's okay, it's fine, it does what it's supposed to do. I think the exaggerated art style, or kind of the more caricature-ish heightened style, is really good for kind of like actions and movements, which there is a lot of in this. And I think it's really interesting seeing how we get to see how things are when Morris possesses a body. It's not just a case of him just controlling the body. It's almost like like the Matrix, the construct. It's kind of like that, but it's like we get to see inside the mind and what it looks like, and it's an actual place, and there's bits of memories all over the shop and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, overall, no, I like the art. I thought it was more than competent. I didn't think it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen, but for me, again, that got a thumbs up, and it added to the experience of reading the book for me. So in conclusion, Mosaic came out at the wrong time. Marvel put this book out there, and I don't know if they wanted it to fail or not, or if it was just an experiment, but they've been pushing so much Inhuman stuff that I think this just fell by. No one knew it was out. No one really paid it much attention. I got the first 2 issues, and then I bought the trade for this review, and yeah, I did enjoy it. I did like it, and I think it sucks that Marvel did a legit brand new character and they didn't push it enough. I don't believe they pushed it enough at all, and I think it came out at completely the wrong time. You can't to release a new character while an event like Civil War II is going on. That's like crazy to me. To be honest, I reckon this character should have been introduced to us this year in 2017, really, and he wasn't part of the lineup, that like the all new or different lineup. I don't remember seeing like Mosaic as part of that lineup, so it's debatable as to how much this was supposed to succeed. But overall, I think the art, writing, and premise will pretty much surprise most people who read this, and I think most people will actually enjoy it. So if you do see it at your comic book store, or if you want to get it online, I'd suggest buying it, because it's actually a pretty good story. And people miss the kind of Marvel where it is just all about story. Here's the situation, here's the story, here's how it plays out. So yeah, I'd advise picking it up. I thought it was pretty damn good. After the first 2 issues I picked up, the next time I saw the character was in Inhumans vs X-Men, or was it called X-Men vs Inhumans? I can't remember, but I saw him in that, and yeah, I kind of just feel bad for the character, because I think he'll pop up every now and again in Inhuman story. That's difficult to say, in Inhuman stories, but I don't think we'll see much more of him. I personally would like to see more of Morris Sackett, aka Mosaic. I think it's definitely an interesting premise which can be driven further. I think you can go to many places with it. So yeah, hopefully, if Legacy does well and they actually bring back their new characters, hopefully they'll get the balls to push or bring back a new character that didn't succeed. I mean, I wonder what the sales are. I mean, I should have checked out the sales for this video, but I'm wondering if could they have been worse than what characters have been doing recently? I don't know. I'll have to have a look at that later and find out. But yeah, man, it's a good book. Like, seriously. Anyway, that was yeah, that was my first kind of review, man. This is kind of reviews that what I do for kind of, like I said, trade paperbacks and whatnot. So yeah, if you thought this was alright, you know, like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully I'll do another one soon, and as always, hit that bell notification, and I'll catch you on the next one.